So, Mesolithic one period, Iranian goats herder found in the Ganj Dareh, the Gamas Valley in Iran, a match 0.04%. You are genetically closer to the sample than 38.92% of other genome link users. Sample I1290, also scientifically known as GD13A, represents one of the most historically significant ancient DNA profiles ever sequenced, belonging to a 30 to 50-year-old woman who lived around 8,170 to 7,606 BCE during the early pre-pottery Neolithic period. Your 0.04% DNA match connects you deeply to the very dawn of human livestock farming, though commercial ancestry platforms sometimes label this sample group as Mesolithic due to the deep hunter-gatherer roots. This individual belonged to a community of pioneering early Neolithic pastoralists. The discovery site, perched at an altitude of 1,400 meters in the Gamas Valley, within the rugged central Zagros Mountains of Kermanshah Province, western Iran. Ganj Dareh Treasure Valley is a small 40-meter wide mound settlement where early humans transitioned into permanent living. They constructed a warren of simple mud brick rooms and homes. This woman was discovered in 1971 in Burial 13 under the floor of a brick walled structure, level C. She was laid to rest alongside another adult and an adolescent. This woman's community provided some of the earliest undisputed archaeological evidence of goat domestication in human history. The animal remains at Ganj Dareh show that these early herders selectively slaughtered male goats once they matured for meat, but allowed female goats to live into old age for breeding. The deep daily bond between these ancient people and their livestock is literally baked into the site. Several excavated mud bricks feature the preserved imprints of cloven goat hooves from animals walking through the village. Genetic studies of the goats show they were genetically managed but still physically resembled robust, wild bezoar ibexes with large scimitar horns. When scientists successfully sequenced her genome in 2016, it fundamentally reshaped our understanding of the Neolithic revolution. The maternal lineage, sample I1290, belongs to the mitochondrial DNA haplogroup X2. Her people were genetically closest to Caucasus hunter-gatherers. Crucially, they were completely distinct from the Anatolian Turkish farmers who expanded into Europe. This proves that agriculture did not sprout from a single group or people. Rather, independent, genetically distinct populations across the Fertile Crescent began farming simultaneously. While her specific group contributed very little genetic material to modern Europeans, her genetic footprint, Zagros Neolithic ancestry, lives on strongly today in populations across the Iranian plateau, the Caucasus, and South and Central Asia, such as Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. The discovery of this sample comes from decades of meticulous field excavations at Ganj Dareh. Here are the full, exhaustive details of the find, the archaeological environment, and the specific burial context. The site, Ganj Dareh, meaning Treasure Valley. Located in Horsen County in the east of Kermanshah Province, western Iran, it sits at a high altitude of roughly 1,400 meters in the central Zagros Mountains. The site is a classical prehistoric mound or tell measuring approximately 40 meters in diameter. It contains 7 to 8 meters of deep accumulated earth, early Neolithic culture debris. The mound was initially spotted during surveyor work in the early 1960s. The primary excavation were led by Canadian archaeologist Philip Smith from the University de Montreal over 4 intense summer field seasons between 1967 and 1974. The site contains 5 primary occupational layers, historically catalogued from top to bottom as levels A through E. And this sample was from C, wasn't it? Level A is the oldest, a temporary transient campsite used by hunter-gatherers, featuring fire pits and hearths dug directly into the bedrock. Level D through E, fully permanent sedentary early villages. The architecture evolved from simple plaster-lined subterranean cubicles to multi-room, multi-story buildings constructed using sun-dried, long, plano-convex mud bricks. Radiocarbon dating pins the overall permanent village occupation to roughly 9295 to 7606 BCE. So that's around 10,000 to 9,700 years ago. The specific burial context. Philip Smith's team uncovered 41 primary and secondary human burials distributed across the settlement. Sample I1290 was recovered from an extraordinary and intimate ritual contest. The mud brick sarcophagus. This individual was discovered inside a highly unique enclosed mud brick structure or alcove built directly into or beneath the floor of a home. She was not alone. The mud brick sarcophagus contained a triple burial. She was interred closely alongside another adult and an adolescent. The adolescent was a male, roughly 15 to 18 years old. Recent facial reconstructions of her teenage burial companion show a robust, strong-jawed youth. Unlike many later ancient cultures, the early Zagros pastoralists left almost no material wealth with their dead. The adults were buried without personal belongings, highlighting an egalitarian lifestyle where community and livestock outweighed material hoarding. To fully visualize the moment I1290 was alive, archaeologists uncovered the exact elements of her daily routine. Multiple mud bricks used to build the village walls still feature cloven hoof prints on ancient goats. These goats stepped onto the wet clay while the bricks were being baked in the sun. Aside from managing primitive scimitar horned goats, chemical testing of nearby pottery fragments and human teeth confirms that her community practiced some of the earliest dairy and milk consumption in human history. They also gathered wild almonds, pistachios, and early wild wheat variants. Geneticists have successfully sequenced and analyzed DNA from several individuals at Ganj, cataloguing them under the broad group Iranian Neolithic. When analysing sample I1290 alongside her neighbours, scientists discovered fascinating details about their community ties. A shared genetic cluster. All individuals tested for the Ganj Dareh site cluster tightly together on a genetic map. She shared identical ancestral origins with everyone in her village, meaning they were all descendants of a localized, isolated group of Zagros hunter-gatherers who settled down together. Diverse maternal lineages. Even though they were closely related as a population, they were not a single inbred family. While I1290 belonged to the mitochondrial haplogroup X2, other females found in the village belonged to completely different maternal lines, such as haplogroup R2, seen in sample I1944. This tells us that women from different maternal clans were living and mixing within the same village. So I asked, does mtDNA X2, the R2, and my J1C3 connect genetically back in time? And it says yes. Haplogroup X2, R2, and J1C3 connect perfectly back in time to a single common maternal ancestor. Because mitochondrial DNA is passed down exclusively from mother to child without mixing, it builds a literal unbroken family tree of human mothers. If you trace the genetic branches of X2, R2 and G1C3 backwards through the millennia, they eventually merge into macro haplogroup R. Continuing my DNA journey next, we're going into the Mesolithic 2 with the stone technologist in Sweden. I match 0.64% with this sample, genetically closer than 43.2% of other genome link users.